Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Gettin Creative podcast in collaboration with the National Youth Theatre with me, your host, Shakira Newton. Gettin Creative is a podcast where I'll be chatting to folk from all creative industries, finding out where they got started, where they've been, where they're going, and getting some advice on how you can get started on that journey too. Now, there hasn't been a theatre show in the last few years worth watching that today's guest hasn't worked on. Similarly, there isn't a theatre in this country worth attending that hasn't experienced their magic. Please join me in welcoming stage manager and creative freelancing hub Backstage Niche creator, Sylvia Darkwa-Ohemeng, to the show. Hi, Sylvia.
Hi. You did well with the surname. Look at you.
Thank you. I tried to do it in one breath and I was like, ugh. I did a breath at the dash. I should have taken a breath before the Darkwa. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for joining us. So like I've said in the intro, the first thing we love to do on this podcast is just chat about you as a person and sort of what got you here, what got you into the theatre industry in the first place.
So at the age of 15, 16, I was part of a youth theatre group called Dream Arts. My friend was part of it already. We were in band together at school, and one summer she was like, they need a saxophonist. And I was like, what is this thing? And I was like, okay, I'll come down. And then it was great. We did a theatre show in the summer. Obviously live band, and it was all young people. So the creatives, choreographers, directors, writers, actors, you could do anything. We just had people, professionals overseeing us as we were doing it, which was great. And then I was like, this is cool. And I was like, I want to come back again next year. So I asked and I was like, can I do something else? And they were like, yeah, sure, come back. You can do whatever you want. What is it that you're interested in? I was like, oh, I just want to know what happens backstage. And they were like, okay, great. So I came back when I was 16 and I should say 17, so I think I hit my birthday. Yeah. So I came back and I was 17 then, and then I was just painting set, setting out, and the company manager took me to one side and was like, how do you feel about being a deputy stage manager? And I was like, what is that? And then she was like, you'll be running the show, you'll be doing this. And I was like, you're going to trust me to do all of that? I have no clue what I'm doing. She's like, it's fine. I'll talk you through it. It was great. It was like one of the best things I've ever done. It was so fun. The bands were so funny. The show was really cool. And we just created a family in that theatre world because it was for inner city kids. It was called Street to Stage. So it was city kids in the summer doing a theatre show. It used to be at the Cochrane Theatre, which used to be in Holborn. And yeah, that was it. I carried on coming back every year, DSM'd, SM'd, it was really cool. And then I started working with Dream Arts and did a few festivals and things like that. And that's kind of how I found my calling, should I say, because I was already organised anyway at school. So I kind of found it naturally. I was like, oh, this is me. I love a folder and some stationery and a diary.
I would love to see your pencil case.
There were so many things in it. And I always had a new pencil case every year. I don't know who I thought I was. My parents must have been like, so every year you want to come with a new pencil case? Oh, I loved it though, because it's just but I was really fortunate to find it that way. And then the artistic director of the theatre at the time, Deirdre Mallon, was like, what are you doing now? Because now it's time for you to go to uni or drama school. And I never thought about it because I just thought, oh my gosh, this is really fun. Every summer I'll come back. But then it was really serious where it's like, do you want to study this? And then I made the decision and I said yes. So I looked at different unis. She helped me and I got into Bruford and I was there for the 3 years. And again, very fortunate to start working in my second year at Oval House Theatre. So I'd been at Oval House Theatre for about 6 years freelancing until I kind of, broke the chain and went elsewhere. But yeah, it's been a great journey. It's been cool.
It's fantastic that you sort of, and I don't really like the term of people falling into something, but I don't know how else to explain it, especially with stage management, because there's actually one of the reasons I wanted to start this podcast was I was chatting to a few people in the industry about sort of how disproportionate the people applying or wanting to be actors, writers, directors is to people who want to work backstage. And I was trying to figure out, like, why would that be? And I think it's just because as a child or growing up, you're not really ever shown stage management or lighting or anything backstage as an option. And there's so many people I know in my life who are great at construction, great at art, great at all these different things, and creative people who love the theatre and love film, who I think would be perfect to work backstage on theatre and film, but just have never done that because at what point are we told that that's even an option, right?
Exactly, especially when you're in drama class and everything's all about acting, or either like, you know, oh, write this, and then it's like that's it and that's all you can do. But if you don't feel like doing any of those things, is there something else I could do? And they'll be like, yeah, you can run the CD player and play sound. I've just shown my age there. I haven't got a CD.
No, but and it's so true. And I'm just a curious, nosy person anyway. So as a performer, whenever I go to watch theatre, I'm always looking at, you know, the lighting and the tricks and stuff that happen as the play goes on, and I'm always trying to figure out, I wonder how they did that. Oh, that's wicked. Which I've already got a few questions for you later on, because I went to go see 7 Methods of Killing Kylie Jenner the other day, and I'm like, I have one specific thing.
Secrets, because it's still going on, so
I'm gonna have to ask you when we stop recording, because there was literally one thing that happened and I'm like, I need to ask Sylvia how that works, because everything else I can sort of figure it out, but there's one thing that happens and I'm like, how on earth did they manage that? But yeah, so I love to look at it, and I just think at no point have I ever even thought about the fact that, you know, about how much goes into putting on the play, because as an actor you do just turn up, stand on your spot and do as you're told. You don't think about the fact that there are people who are working tirelessly backstage on trying to get this thing together. I mean, we already had a chat with Jessica Newton, who I know is your good sis. Oh, isn't she just fantastic?
yeah.
And I said that, and she and I were chatting about the same thing, just about how it took me until very recently to really realise how important tech was, because for an actor, the whole tech rehearsal is so boring and long.
You lot are like, oh my God, and you're on your phone, you're, oh my God, and you're like twiddling your fingers, and you're like, we're trying to get all this technical stuff going. We're like stressing, heart pumping. You lot are like,
we're like, oh, is it lunchtime? Yeah.
Tea break. I need some water. And you're like, tea break when we have a tea break.
Literally, I'm like, oh, I've already walked onto that spot like 6 times. But then I speak to people like yourself, and like one of my housemates, she'd just completed her 3 years doing stage management at East 15, and after actually chatting to people who are in the industry, I'm now like, I will never ever complain in a tech ever again. Like, I'm going to be a good girl. I am going to behave myself so much in techs from now on.
Thank you very much appreciated in advance.
So as I mentioned, you have a connection with Jessica Newton, and I believe that goes to previously before Backstage Niche, but I know that it's got a big part of Backstage Niche. Can you please let the audience know what Backstage Niche is?
Well, something I thought might work, who knows? I was like, let's just do it. Anyway, it's an idea I had at uni. So basically, Backstage Niche is a network or community of freelancers who are all from a culturally diverse background, who work in technical and backstage theatre. I thought it'd be nice to have us all together in some sort of support system, and also get to know each other, because often when we're doing shows, we're either the only ones, so we don't actually know each other, because it's either one in, one out, or there's 2 of us and none. Yeah, so I just built that because I thought, yeah, it'd be nice to have a community of freelancers in one place where theatres, producers, directors, anyone making a show could come to the website and go, oh, cool, they've got these creatives from different places, because, you know, depending on, you know, the stories that we're now telling are much more diverse, and people now want a more culturally diverse tech team. And I think now more than ever, it's so important. So I had this idea in uni. I had no clue. I didn't know how to start it, but I knew I had the idea. And then I kind of planted the seed throughout my career. So I planted the seed for God knows how many years. And then I said, will this be something that you'd want to use? Does it sound like it needs to be needed? And everyone said yes. So I had all positive kind of feedback. So COVID kind of pushed me to make the business, because I had done a show at the Royal Exchange, which is Rockets and Blue Lights. We got shut down, and then I came back to London. So I had some time to kind of build the company and see how and what I could do. And yeah, here we are today. Like, I launched it in August last year. It's almost a year this August, and yeah, it's been really great. It's been, had so much support from so many different theatres and companies and individuals. We've been doing quite a lot of workshops and panel talks with companies like NYT. We have a partnership with, we've done workshops and talks with the young Vic. We're taking part, the Kiln. So we're getting there. We're getting there with and they all have to be on Zoom, unfortunately. So we're hoping that we can do it in person soon. And also I went back to Dream Arts and I did a little workshop with them, had like an in-person workshop on stage management with them before we were back into lockdown again. Yeah, so that's kind of the premise of it all. And yeah, just letting other people, young people, know about what we do. So the freelancers agree to not only be on the database, but also to do workshops and talks to young people. We do mentoring as well. We try to get them into tech. So we had a few people in tech, in our tech sessions, and to also come and watch the show. We have a few connections with schools. We're trying to get them in to watch shows as well, and maybe have a little tour. So we're trying to figure out the logistics of that during COVID as well. But I'm a freelancer as well, Shakira. So we're doing that and I'm working. So things are a little bit, jagged, but we're trying to, make sure we carry on with the cause and make sure that all these young people understand that all these skills can be transferable. If you like doing art and you can draw, you can design a stage, you can design a set. If you like building stuff, you can build a set. If you like fashion, you can be a costume. There's all these things that we need to tell young people that these are transferable, and that in theatre or TV or film, it's not just about directing, writing, and then acting. Like, there's all these other things. If you don't want to be part of that, you can be part of this. And it's just as rewarding, it's just as fun. It is hard work, but it's great.
No, and do you know what? Like you say, it genuinely is so needed, because again, not only is there a disproportionate amount of people who are applying to work backstage, but it's, as always in most things in the theatre at the minute, it's disproportionate with ethnicity.
Yeah.
So to know that you've got a company that is dedicated to members of the global majority, and making sure that they get the opportunities that otherwise would not be handed to them itself, is obviously awe-inspiring. Is it just women?
No, it just happens to be quite heavily female, but we have got a range. We have got a range of, non-binary men, women. We're trying to slowly build up the database. So we have got a good, decent amount. I think we've got almost 60 people.
Nice.
So we're just slowly kind of adding people to the database, and we also meet everyone on Zoom, so it does take a while. So we want to get to know people, know what they would like to work on, so we get to know them and we know what to put them forward for. And I think the next stage, hopefully maybe next year, it becomes some sort of agency, so that it's a more of a solid kind of, these are the people that are free, they're not free, can you book them for this? So maybe that's what the plan would be. But for now, I just wanted to test it out and see what it would be like if it was just a subscription service for all theatres to pay every month, and then they just have access to the professional database. And then, so it seems to be working really good, because I think a lot of theatres are using it, those who are hearing about it. And then which gives them a chance to work in all these different spaces they would never have thought of probably applying to, because they would have thought, actually, they probably wouldn't accept me. So it brings that industry to that individual. And we've got the new to the industry page, which is free to see, because it just allows them to build up their CV, because during COVID times, it's been hard for them and they haven't had that experience. So that's free to access also. So and we're doing other things. We're trying to we do advertising as well on the website for jobs. And we've got a Patreon page, and we've got a GoFundMe. We're now selling tote bags. So all the money goes to the freelancers to work and do the workshops and panel talks, and we also spend the money on young people to watch the plays that we are all doing. So it's just to help out, really, just to support us in what we're doing.
Yeah, just to help. I love that. I love how you just listed off a reel of amazing things that you've done in a space of not even 12 months yet, and then you're just like, just helping. It's not a big deal. I never sleep, but it's not a big deal. Yeah, and so what type of, when you say freelance tech team, talk me through like occupation titles.
So at the moment, we definitely want to expand, but at the moment we are doing. So I have Ella Saunders, who is my like company PA, who's actually a friend and a stage manager, but she's offered her help, which has been amazing. So it's like, yeah, she's the PA. She's great at all the admin stuff. So what we're doing is looking for so stage management, lighting, sound, projection, set design, costume design. We've got one person that does WAM, so we need more people from WAM, will be great. Sound designers, I think I said that already. Choreographers, voice, we've got Hazel on there, who I've known a very long time. Yeah.
Oh.
I know. Fight director, I've got Kevin on there, who I absolutely love. So yeah, we're trying to make it a bit more broad, but what I should say is what we're not doing is we don't have writers, directors, producers on there. I would love maybe in future to put producers on there, because I think that is still a backstage occupation that is not seen. And yeah, it's not necessarily on stage, but I think it's something that's important, that people would love to find producers, and also production managers, but that's the thing in itself. Yeah, we try to find production managers if we can. But yeah, I think I've covered all ish.
For me, and for anyone in the audience who also doesn't know, what is WAM?
Oh, sorry, wigs, hair, and makeup.
Okay, I was like, yeah, WAM. I was like, I have no idea what she's saying.
Like, great. And you're like, okay, but what's WAM though?
Yeah, I'll quickly Google it, like 2 seconds. Hey, give me, what's WAM?
Yeah, it's wigs, hair, and makeup. Yeah.
So important. I recently. Actually, no, I'm going to do it. I was about to make myself palatable and mute myself, but I'm a dragon. I recently just finished drama school, and my last project was filming my first ever short film that I wrote and I starred in, which was fantastic. Thank you. But all the cast were men, and only one of them was not white. And my white director would make me out to be like a diva, because one day we were filming one of the scenes. It was supposed to be like a summer's evening. We're outdoors, the whole scene's outdoors, and I'm looking at the weather now on the weather app, like 3-4 days ahead, and I'm like, it's going to be raining or at least drizzly, that like this is not going to work. And he's like, drizzle happens, like you can't see drizzle on the screen, like in the real world you'd have to put up with that. And I'm like, in the real world I'd have a hair and makeup person. I am a mixed race lady with like 3A/3B hair type, sorry. The moment a bit of water touches my hair, whether it's drizzle or not, do you want continuity? Like, do you want it? But yeah, I was still made to film in the rain, and guess what? My hair went massive. We had to reshoot. Yeah, no, I literally was out in the rain till 1:30 in the morning, and then this guy tells me the following week, 2 days before, we're going to reshoot it because it didn't look good on camera. And I'm like, I was warning you for an entire week.
Done told you ages ago.
Done told you.
That's what was going to happen.
This is what I mean. So the whole point of my rant is we need more women of colour. We just need them in this business. I need them around me. I need them just for energy, number one. But number two, like with these, because there's not enough black hair and makeup artists in the industry. I know there are in a whole, or who don't feel like the industry is for them. We're just never going to be able to get to a point. I know that was only a student film. We didn't actually have a hair and makeup person, but I'm just like, the idea that someone was in charge of this film, and I am coming to you as a woman of color and trying to tell you about how my hair works, and you're making me feel like a diva for doing so. It's just stressful to me that there's so many people on film sets and on theatre runs for years and years and years that have had to like do their own hair and had to bring their own foundation.
Yeah. It's wild, isn't it? Like, if you're going to study something like, costume, hair, makeup, whatever it is, you need to do all types. It's a bit like lighting. You need to know how to light dark skinned people because it's different from lighter skin. You know what I mean? So it's just like, if you're going to do a job, you need to know how to work with all types of skin, hair, people. But yeah.
Literally, no. So that makes me feel good that you've got I know it now, WAM. You've got WAM on the books, because it's just so important. So let's talk about the plays that you've been working on, because I mean, I just need to like tell the audience. I'm gonna read them out. I've got
What
my
is
lovely book
that?
of freelance. This is what happened.
No,
My tricks of the trade. Guys, Nine Night, Pericles, Typical, Barbershop Chronicles, Seven Methods of Killing Kylie Jenner, Fairview, Rockets and Blue Lights, My White Best Friend, Richard II. Like, are you joking? Your CV is mad.
oh, thank you.
And how does, like, so that is literally, you just came straight out of drama school and people were just like, get me working with her?
No, it was literally because I did most of my jobs were all at Oval House. I absolutely loved Oval House, which is now called Brixton House. So I was there for a long time, and then I don't know. Later on, the people that you meet within working at Oval House go on to do other things, and then you follow them to do other things in different places, and then other places see you, and then you start. I think that's how it works anyway. But you just start seeing different people and go to different places. So like for instance. I wouldn't be working, that I wouldn't have gone into NYT as a, so I did playing up for 3 years as the stage manager on book, but without Toby Clark, who I met at Oval House, who was at NYT afterwards, who brought me in, that's how it worked. And I stayed and started doing playing up. And then now, doing the company and everything, I reached out to NYT, now we're partnering. So all these little things that add up. So, it's not, I think, yes, I love my job and I think I'm all right at it, but I think it's the people around you that help you elevate in your career. Sometimes I also have a friend, Shireen Jasmine Phillips, who's director of Taking Part. I've known her a long time. I met her over house. She's also done some other things, and then she's brought me on. So that's how I was able to work at Kiln. So it's all about the people that you surround yourself with. Like, I will always say, like, my career is based on those great people that were able to open doors for me to do my job and meet other people.
I know you're passing that on, right? With Backstage Niche, you're now
Yeah.
going to be opening doors for other people. It's all
Exactly.
about giving back.
There you go.
Especially
how important it is.
Exactly, especially in like, you've got the industry and then you've got like the portion of the industry that is not run by white cis het men. And in this portion, it's all about like looking after each other. And I've actually noticed from leaving drama school and starting to go to auditions and starting just to get to know more people in the industry, like, not like, my black sisters are the ones who are always so nice to me. Like, was be sat in the waiting room and there's other people who are just on their phone or just like haven't, like, are in the zone or too anxious to speak or like just got their competition head on. And
Yeah.
it's always the black girls, the black and brown girls, who actually bother to sit and speak and are so personable and are so nice. And then I start to see on like crew lists or cast lists, and I'm seeing different people working with the same people again, and I'm like, it pays to be nice, right? It's nice to be nice anyway, and you should be doing it off your own back, not to gain anything. But like, the proof is in the pudding. If you're nice to work with, then people are going to want to work with you. And you're a very personable person. You're obviously lovely to work with, but you're also boss at your job. Like, if anyone hasn't seen Seven Methods of Killing Kylie Jenner, get your tickets. I think there's like a few left, maybe.
We're sold out, but yeah, there's a few left if you can get some.
I had to do the Monday, the 9. I was literally set my alarm for like 5 minutes to 9, like woke up, was there, I was like on my thing, managed to get one. I was like, oh no, I had a ticket in Traverse and I didn't know what that meant, and I was actually really worried that like that meant I was going to miss out, but it didn't at all. Like, God, it's just
right on the stage, just watching them.
And I mean, they are just fantastic, aren't they? Like,
yeah, they're so cool.
And it's just so how refreshing it is to watch you all come out at the end and it just being like a whole cast and crew of non-white women. And I was like,
Yeah.
and that is how that I genuinely think that just adds to why the show is so good. There hasn't been a show that I've seen, even recently. Yeah, but I mean, most of the shows I've seen recently have been either directed by the movement director and the writer, and they're all women or just non-white members of the community. And I'm just like, this is why it's so interesting, and I'm so excited about these new plays that are coming out, because it actually not only genuinely represents the world that we live in for once, but it's no longer this like regurgitated, boring bullshit.
Yeah.
to my French, for lack of a better word. And you've literally, on all the plays that have come out in the last few years that have like excelled us forward in that way, you've worked on. And I think that's so cool.
Wild.
That's
You
what,
never,
no, no,
know, you never know that that's where it's gonna go, because you're like, oh, it's another job. And then you see that later on it's done really well. You're like, oh, that did really well, didn't it? Oh, okay, great. On to the next one.
And I bet you don't give yourself an ounce of credit for it. I bet you're like, that did really well because of the writing and the director was good and because this, and this. And you don't ever tell yourself, actually, I worked on that and I was part of the team who made that go well.
It's crazy. No, you don't really think about that. You just think, oh, that actually went well, you know. Oh, we did well. Oh, on to the next one. I think the only thing I would be like patting myself on the back for is 7 Methods, because that's a crazy, crazy, crazy play to operate. And even moving to like the downstairs space at the Royal Court, we had a meeting and they were all like, so you're gonna have operators, is that okay? And I'm like, I'm not going to need them. The Twitters are so quick, I don't know how I'm going to call them. And it's about pace. And you have to be in the rehearsal room to know the girl's pace and how they do certain things and what to look out for. There's just too many things going on. So I opted to continue operating myself on the Twitters, because there was no way, yeah, it was just too much. And they were like, right, okay. And I was like, yeah, I was like, I'm really sorry. I don't know if I'm put someone out of a job or only you can only one or two people. I have no clue, but you know, because I didn't have an operator when we were upstairs, so I was doing it all myself. So I kind of knew the premise of it already. So coming to the downstairs space, I was like, well, yeah, too quick.
Wow, there's absolutely no time to even zone out then, is there, at any point in that show? Like, there is so much happening at all times, especially with the Twitter. Like, I assumed that maybe that was pre-recorded and the actors had to like rehearse to the different sounds and lighting changes. Do you know what I mean? Like, I assumed that that's what that would have been.
No, they say literally, yeah, like majority of everything you hear will come from them, and then we have a sound mixer who manipulates the sound live. So all of that is them, apart from something that's really obvious with recordings. But yeah, most of it is all them. Hence why I depend on them so that I can keep cueing things.
Yeah. And you're just there the whole time, like.
I'm just like, oh, and you're like, oh, don't want to say that word today. It's fine. I'll just keep going. Because I can't.
Yeah, that's the thing as well. Because like, as an actor, you're not always consistent. Sometimes you just forget, or sometimes you've been doing it one way for like the last 3 days, but today I'm not going to do it. Like,
yeah. And you're like, oh, you used to do that a bit quicker. Oh, you're not going to do that quicker now. Oh, you're a bit slow. Okay, great. I'll follow that. Okay, that's fine. So it's just about knowing like their pace and like how they're, yeah. But it's a great play and it's a great story. I love saying the title to people and they're like, that's a show, that's a thing. And like, it's not really about her. It's just about kind of what she represents and how it's, you know.
Yeah, it's such an important story to be told, and it's just told in the most fantastic way. And it's like cinema. Like, it's not like theatre, it's like cinema. Like, even the way the sounds travel around the room, like it literally, at one point, I think it's at the very beginning, a sound travels around the room, and it reminds me of like, when you first get in a cinema and they're like, boom.
Yeah.
That advert. It's so sick. It's so sick.
Sorry, what was that again?
Boom.
Yeah.
I don't know the rest of the advert, sorry. So I know you're obviously working on 7 Methods now. When does that close?
July the 27th.
Right, and then what's next?
So I'm on Rockets and Blue Lights at the Dorfman, at the NT as a DSM. So it's the show that I did at the Royal Exchange in Manchester. And then, the lockdown shut us down. And then, so now it's back at the NT. So I'm currently at a movement workshop. So I've kind of snuck away.
Do you know what? I was saying earlier, like, I've got my ticket for Rocket and Blue Light, obviously. I mean, there'd be no way I couldn't, with the fact that, like, you, Hazel, Miranda, Jessica, Yaret, Annie Lynette, like, all of you are on, like, how could I not come and see this show? Do you know what I mean? But going through, I knew that you and Hazel and Miranda were on it, and I went through to, and then I was like, and Annie Lynette, and Jessica, we've got all, and I'm like, all these people who I know firsthand are, like, fantastic at what they're doing, plus the show itself is amazing. Like, I'm so excited. I'm actually so gassed, and if you guys haven't got tickets yet, I mean, I think they might be even sold out already, but
I don't know how the NT works, like, If you got your ticket, you got it. If you don't, you don't.
All I'm going to say is try your best.
Yeah, and maybe for returns. Returns, they do returns, right? So you have to like wait and see if people don't turn up or they return their ticket. So, but yeah, really excited about it. Really, really excited. It's just so good to see the gang again. It's just like, oh my gosh, it's so cool.
Like the energy in the rehearsal room, like the energy just in the room in general. I'm actually so like jealous that I'm not going to be at Mumba as well. I need to rewind. I missed out Mumba. Mumba, I love you. Like there's so many people. There's so many people that I just, how am I not in that room? One day I'll be in the room where it happens. Yeah. So what we like to do to wrap up the podcast is to give some advice to listeners who may be looking into getting into what you're into. So anyone who's listening now and is like, I want a slice of that, how do I start? What advice would you give to them?
That's a very good question. I think in the times that we are in now, I think you are definitely able to email theatres and ask if you're able to come in and watch a tech, if you're able to come in and talk to one of the stage management team. And I think it's easier to get into theatres who have a kind of a youth group or youth organisation within that theatre, because that's an easier track or easier way to get into that space and then get to those professionals that you may be working with on your shows. Oh gosh, it's so, I think it's all about joining the theatre. So you just join. Yeah, because it's weird because I can only go from my experience in terms of like, I was lucky enough to kind of just join the theatre because someone just went, we need someone to play music. But I think if you know this is what you want to do or you're intrigued, I think you should go to youth theatre groups, you know, even the National Youth Theatre, just go into those groups and then you're able to ask questions to those stage managers or those creatives. You know, the worst thing they can say is no, and they'll never say no. So you can always email, and definitely email me on sylvia@backstageniche.com. And then I
like, one more time.
sylvia@backstageniche.com. Like an advert. So, and yeah, I don't mind getting those emails because then I can always forward you to other freelancers who are willing to have a chat with you and willing to, again, it's just, if we're, you know, COVID wise, if we're able to get people into a tech or into a rehearsal, because then if you have that one glimpse of something, then it feeds your curiosity even more. So yeah, I'll just say try to get into those spaces. Email who you can see on the website of the theatre and say, oh hi, you know, I'm interested in this, because there's no way they're gonna say no. I'll be very shocked. But that's my 2, 3, 4 cents.
Thank you so much. And for the listener, we want to make sure that this podcast is as accessible as possible. So if you or if anyone that you know is hard of hearing or they just want to see our beautiful faces, you can catch the video version of this episode over on the National Youth Theatre's YouTube channel that is closed captioned so you can read what we're saying. Sylvia, it's been such a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Wow, Kira, it's been fun.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.